Robert Hassell III is a top 5 Padres prospect. He's a top 50 prospect consensus in all of baseball. And this dude is hitting the baseball better than most in minor league baseball at the moment right now. We'll start very simply. You've played 21 games with the Tin Caps so far this year. You've got 31 hits. How are you doing this?
I just think for me, it's just, resetting every day, like not being satisfied with yesterday, just going up there with the intent of getting 2 hits every day, and obviously if I do that, that's going to help the team. So getting on base, doing my thing that way, just it's all mindset, really.
What would you say like the big adjustment was from low A to high A? Because you got a little taste of it last year, but it was only just as you were finally starting to get your feet under you, like the season ends. So I'm sure you were geared up to get back out here this time around in Fort Wayne, and really got off to an insane start right off the bat. What was that acclimation process like when you're getting from low A to high A as a guy that was drafted out of high school?
Yeah, last year when I came up, I noticed that they were pounding me offensively. They were pounding me in the zone a lot more just early, like not really fooling around trying to get me down in the count. And I noticed like I was striking out more and stuff, and I was being a little bit too patient. But even last year in low A to start the season, I started off a bit slow, and I've noticed even the past couple of years in high school, there's even like that first week, even if it was like a slow first week, I still counted it. And I wanted to make sure this year that didn't really happen, and that I made sure in spring training that I was going to be ready for the first pitch of the first game. And like I said, just a mindset of just going out there every day and competing to the best of my ability and just high expectations of myself. So,
hey, how much of that is confidence based? We talk about that during spring training and all that, but you mentioned when you first get up to high A, you struck out a little bit. And then I remember a night in Midland, Michigan, when you guys were playing the Dodgers affiliate in high A, you hit 3 bombs, right? And that's the big coming out party for Robert Hassell in high A. You come back to Fort Wayne, a place you got just a teensy bit familiar with last year, jumping into a familiar environment, having the confidence of a good end of the year and a good spring training. You also have a really talented roster around you too. What has that done for you in terms of Robert Hassell, the confident hitter?
Yeah, it's confidence is probably the biggest part of hitting, I would say, and being able to do it every day, not just when you're feeling good. It's every day you got to be confident. But yeah, we got a great group of guys. I mean, a lot of them I played with last year in Lake Elsinore, and then some of them some of the pitchers was here last year in Fort Wayne with them. So yeah, a good group of guys, but confidence all around in all parts of your game is going to be the biggest thing. But for me to come, like I said, came up last year for a few weeks and got familiar with Fort Wayne a little bit, and just knowing that this year, this is where I'm supposed to be. So this is the goal, is to come here and have a great year. So figured I'd start it early and see what we got. Yeah.
So 5 home runs in 21 games, and we'll get into some of that power output in a minute, because I know that's something that is brought up a lot and you've talked about it in other conversations. But I want to talk to you about one of the things that you've just excelled at from the get-go, and I know is a big calling card for you, which is the hit tool and the ability to just kind of find the barrel almost at all times. But not only that, I watch your ABs, you spoil tough pitches. There's just the bat to ball ability overall that is really impressive with you. What makes you so adept to, one, being able to recognize pitches and, not chase, but 2, getting the bat on the ball at a higher rate than the vast majority of professional baseball players?
Well, yeah, I think my swing ever since I was kind of little has kind of worked that way. I've always hit home runs. I've said that before, but I've always hit, home runs here and there and stuff like that. But I've never really been that home run or strikeout guy. I've never really been satisfied with that. So my swing's always kind of worked to just put the bat on the ball consistently, I think. And I've kind of taken that and worked with it. And that's why I think, you see, I have 5 home runs this year so far, only one of them pull side and 4 of them really left field. So it's like my main focus is not, hitting home runs and getting that home run swing off. It's like, even if it's 0-0, it's like if I put the bat on the ball, I feel like with, good backspin or whatever the analytical stuff deems a good barrel, I have confidence that it's going to be an extra base hit or whatever. And I'm more satisfied with doubles, consistent doubles than, a home run every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 3 doubles so far this year. I'm just looking at hit accumulation, right? And that speaks to the hit tool. 31 hits, 21 games. You're sporting an OPS north of 1,000. So if somebody wants to look at the power output, they can just look right there and see that.
Yeah.
You are as well-rounded a hitting prospect as we've seen in high A right now, right? And you mentioned the bat to ball. You mentioned your ability to get to pitches. I saw you last year. I know a lot of people are watching you right now get to low pitches, get to high pitches. Is there a particular wheelhouse for you, or are you more of like a see ball, hit ball guy?
Yeah, I mean, you could say a little bit of both, honestly. It kind of depends on the arm, depends on the day, but I've found myself to be able to get to that outside pitch pretty well. But then it's like, if you bring it in, I've seen myself through the video. It's like, even if you bring it in, fastball, 2 strikes, early in the count, really doesn't matter. It's like, I'll still find a way to get to it, I feel like. But, recently it's been those outside pitches. I feel like, whatever the pitch is, I've been getting to it. And I feel like that's why you've seen some of those balls go over the fence, that left side. Just like I said, just trying to put a good swing on them. And if they're going to leave, they're going to leave. As I get older, I feel like that power is going to come only more. So I'd like to say all over the plate, but middle to outer third, say.
So that was going to be my question a little bit on the flip side of it, right? Is, pitchers are trying to find a way to get Robert Hassell out right now. And obviously, when they're game planning for the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, it's how do we get the guy that's hitting 388 out right now?
Don't tell him how to do it, by the way.
No one knows how to do it. Yeah. And you don't need to tell us how to do it. But, you look at some of the home runs that you've hit. You talked about middle away. I think it's pretty clear that you are very comfortable going the other way. Have you had pitchers try to go hard stuff inside? Is that something that they've challenged you with? And, how do you balance that ability to go the other way, leave the yard the other way, but also still be able to react on middle in? And everybody has something that's running and has that riding life, and, being able to get around on that too.
Well, I think it's just being ready for it every pitch. I like a lot of hitting is going to be reaction based too, whether you'd like to think about whether you like to think that as a hitter or not. You're going to be reacting a lot more times than you're going to be guessing right and just boom, going to happen. But and those will be your extra base hits or home runs, you assume. But yeah, I mean, the inside pitch, it's obviously, in my opinion, it's the toughest pitch in baseball to hit. So it's like, a lot of times, if you got a really good arm that knows what he's doing and he's running up in there, it's going to be tough. But for me, I've backed off the plate a little bit, just giving myself every little opportunity to get to that inside pitch, knowing that I'm good at that outside pitch already. Giving myself, those little tiny opportunities, whether it's, versus a lefty backing off the plate or something, or versus a big sinker guy that's a righty getting on the plate a little bit, little stuff like that. Just trying to run that ball into my barrel.
I know Aram wants to get into swing mechanics in a moment, but I guess my big question is, what do you look at? Do you look at TrackMan data? Do you watch film back of your at bats, side view, front view? What are you looking at on an everyday basis to try and learn more about yourself and your opponents?
I definitely watch video all the time. I'll watch it from the video that you would see if you're watching the broadcast a lot, just to see where the pitches actually land up. And I remember a lot of them. I don't remember all my at bats, but usually I'll remember, like, if it was a good pitch or like a foul ball or something that I know I should have hit, I'll remember it and I'll be like, okay, it was there, or no, it was off the plate a little bit. So I'll watch a lot of video. Video is probably the biggest thing for me, for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I watched, your lower half is pretty interesting to me with the way that the athleticism that you have in the box. And I want to talk about your speed on the field as well, because I think that's one of the more underrated aspects of your game. But in the box, you can really see the athleticism. But I find just the whole way you maneuver pretty unique and pretty cool. Can you clue us in a little bit just to what your thoughts are when you're going right with your lower half? Because it's a pretty unique toe tap, almost timing mechanism to gather back. And then you have this just explosion once you launch. Can you tell us what your thought is somewhat with the lower half and what you're trying to think about when you're going right?
Yeah. So I went in the about middle of the season in Lake Elsinore last year. I went to like a modified toe tap, kind of turned my front toe in, kind of toe tapped off of that. And I've always, through my whole life, even when I was little, I've always been a leg kick guy. But when I got to pro ball and I started facing those really good arms every day, throwing hard, it's like I had to simplify some stuff. My hips were leaking a bit. But yeah, I mean, it's still a work as all of my, hitting is and all of my game is, it's still a work in progress. But my lower half, I feel like there's still a tad bit of a leak, which I don't think that hurts any part of my game. That's why I haven't really fooled with it too much. But I do think that's why I see a lot of my power going center field to left field is because I'm actually cutting myself off a tad bit with my hips leaking forward. So when I had the leg kick, that I was seeing it a lot more, just because it's like if you're not direct 100% on time, you're going to have a way longer stride. You're going to leak a lot more. So I went to that modified kind of toe tap to kind of keep my hips back a tad bit and shoot those balls in play. And that's when I started seeing a lot of those, balls that I was fouling off to the left side finally coming in, shooting down the third baseline, doubles, triples, and stuff like that. So like I said, it kind of, and now you if you've seen my video recently, I'm kind of trying to go out of that a bit more, and I've watched guys like Bryce Harper and stuff like that. And
that was what I was going to bring up, literally exactly.
Yeah, like guys like Bryce Harper. I saw a video of him the other day off of Scherzer. I'm pretty sure it was a cutter or something. He hit a home run, just a smooth swing, and his setup right there is something that I aspire to look like. Just completely balanced. I know that was I kind of went on with that. My bad, but
no, that's encouraged. That's absolutely encouraged.
Yeah.
And you can go on all day on that kind of stuff, especially with me, because I could talk swings all day. I bore Jack with it all the time on here. But I was specifically going to ask you Harper, because he's a similar guy where you can almost see his back foot come off the ground sometimes, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's losing his backside or that, he's totally leaking. It's just that's something he used to do a little bit of, but he's found the balance of it all. And I mean, that's the swing that when I look at the swing that you take, there's a lot of similarities there. And it's that athleticism in the box as well. One other thing that really stands out to me is I've watched some of the balls you hit. I don't remember exactly what game it was, but you had one where you were definitely a little bit fooled, where it was off speed. You were a little bit out front and you had almost a one-handed swing that you beat the center fielder over the head. And I think I sent it to Jack, and this was before we even knew that you were going to be able to come on the podcast. And I sent it to Jack and I was like, what the hell is this? Because it looks like off the bat, routine fly out, right? Like no way that's carrying. And it just kept going and kept going. Is that something that you've started to notice creeping more into your game? You talk about the development of power, and I think it's awesome that you're not letting all of that outside noise pressure you into selling out for it, because I think you can start to see it coming into your game more and more, right? Where these balls that maybe used to be caught are one-handed swings that are beating the center fielder over the head. Is that something that resonates at all with you?
Yeah, last year I watched all my ABs, and I'd say there was about 10 times, maybe even more, where it was like, dang, man, if I had a good 5 or 6 more pounds or 10 pounds or whatever it was on me, I feel like those balls are over their heads or leaving. And yeah, I mean, I came in and I'm about 5 or 6 pounds heavier, feel really strong. And that one you're talking about, I think it was 0-2. It was at Lansing against a righty, and he was like 60% off speed, and he was plus that when he had you down in the count. So it was 0-2, and I was still waiting for that fastball just in case, because he was low 90s. But yeah, he flicked that slider in, made a good pitch, flicked it in, landed about lower outer third, And yeah, it was a one-handed swing, but off the bat, it was like, yeah, but when it dropped in and it was a double, I was like, I was kind of, you're thinking yourself a little bit, because it's like that power. People were saying, that power is going to come. People told me last year that power is going to come. And it's like, I think even more power is to come for sure. Like those balls, I think, are going to be leaving soon. I got a pretty good barrel on it. So.
Welcome to the business of pro baseball, right? You mentioned you were at Lansing, so you're seeing Angeles right across the diamond from you. I mean, have you had a holy crap, I'm a professional baseball player moment in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, seeing guys, we had, just the other day we had Snell rehab pitch. That was really cool. When I first signed, there was plenty of moments at the alternate site where they ran me out there a few times and got to play behind Manny, and Toddy and Hosmer and Jake and the whole Grisham, all those guys, So every day, man, I'm thankful for every day. Every day it's cool to be, blessed to be a professional baseball player. Really.
Yeah. I'm curious how 2020 went for you, because that's obviously a unique draft that's never going to happen again. And your senior year of high school was cut short. You still were the top prep guy off the board. You go 8 to San Diego. How did that process go? Because the world shut down like March 11th or 12th. You were probably done with baseball for the time being. And then at some point between then and draft day, AJ Preller's got to get you on the phone and say, we're going to take you. How did that process lead up to you going 8th?
Well, first off, I had told my dad about a year before the draft that I thought I told him something like, man, I really like the Padres. And I talked to a lot of their whoever, scouts or whoever it was. And I was a big fan of all of them. And I was like, man, I think they really like me. I think there is a chance they'll take me first round. But, I played 2 games of high school my senior year, and then boom, we were out of school. So a lot of waiting around. Yeah, sure. And a lot of uncertainty for sure. But I knew I'd had a really good junior high school year. And then that summer after that year, I knew I'd put myself in a good position. And then, sure enough, draft day, we figure out I'm going to the Padres. But yeah, man, it was just, work like usual. Tried to find myself in the batting cage, getting stronger and everything, getting ready for the draft. But definitely weird for everybody. Yeah.
Well, that was going to be my follow-up question on that. Was at what point did you realize, hey, I could be a top 10 pick in the MLB draft?
Well, I went to the PDPL was new, and that was the 80 guys at IMG for the USA / like MLB, whatever. And they had me the best performer out of there after it was all said and done, like a month later. And that gave me a huge confidence boost. And then we had some All-American games. And that's when after I'd say middle of PDP to the end of the PDP league down there, I was like, man, at least in this high school group, I think I'm the best, if not one up there, one of the best. So I figured I'd had a good chance that summer. And so that going into my senior year, full confidence. That's why I was sad to see, we only played 2 games that year. But yeah, I mean, I've always been a confident guy. So I'd like to say ever since my freshman year, I've known I was going to go first round, but that's not true, man. You're always going to have a little bit of doubt there, but sometimes, that's what helps you push through sometimes. So maybe about a year before.
Robert, who'd you grow up wanting to be? Like obviously I grew up in the Chicagoland area. I was a left-handed pitcher. I wanted to be Mark Burley really bad. And I wanted to mimic his pitch mix and all that stuff. Right. Like everybody had that person that they want to be. And I'm sure now you look at some guys and obviously you don't want to be them. You want to be Robert Hassell, but you can take certain things from some guys. So who did you want to be growing up? And now when you look at some of baseball's best stars, what do you really like they do that you feel like you can incorporate in your game?
Yeah. Well, when I was little, I mean, even now I look back at his film, but Chipper, we watched a lot of Braves games when I was little, just because that was what was on TV. That was close. So we got a lot of their games, but his, the lefty swing, man, obviously from the right side too, beautiful, but I paid attention to his lefty swing a lot. Loved him and how sweet he was. And I actually got to meet him at the PDP League for a day and kind of asked him some stuff, and got some good information about how he just, he doesn't swing 100% all the time, and, kind of just incorporated some of that stuff into my game. But believe it or not, Albert Pujols too, I know he's a right-hander, but just, it seemed like when I was little, I used to love him, but it was like I used to play with him and pick him in all the video games, and every time I turned on the TV, it felt like he was hitting a home run. And he had 10 years in a row where he had 30 bombs and 100 RBIs plus. So it was like that production level for sure. And what I see now in players is just playing the game fast, man. It's like doing what everybody else does. You're hitting some home runs. You're getting on base. You're getting your doubles. You're hitting the ball hard, throwing dudes out, stealing bases, but just playing the game fast, playing the game with intelligence, with intent, just knowing what you're doing out there every day too. It's a big thing. It's like you don't really want to see a guy that injuries happen and stuff. I get it, but it's like you can put yourself in a position to be healthy, unless unfortunate stuff happens, obviously. But so just being able to play every day. Fans want to see people playing every day. They want to see their favorite player out there.
Something that stands out to me with Pujols is that, I listened back to some interviews with him early on, and he's one of my favorite guys to watch. I mean, his stretch is as good of any stretch in baseball history. He's a guy that wouldn't say he's a home run hitter. He says, I'm a line drive hitter that happens to hit home runs. And it's funny because that's kind of what you were saying in the early going here is like, I'm looking for my doubles. I'm looking gap to gap. And if I backspin it a little extra, if I get under it a little bit more, or it's in the right spot and it gets out, it's a home run. The wrinkle that you have in your game that, not a lot of other players are able to add to that, contact and power is the speed. And we mentioned earlier, like, I wanted to talk to you about that. You've already swiped 8 bags this year. You have a good glove in center field. And that was something that, I feel like has been undersold or under talked about in your game, which is going to happen when you hit 388. People are going to be like, oh, but by the way, he's really fast. Like, they're going to talk about you hitting 388. But how do you feel like your game and how do you think the speed contributes to your game, both on the base paths and in center, and how much do you think that can help you at the highest level?
Yeah, well, it's like, you don't have to see me hit the ball 105 miles an hour every time to get on base. So I think that's a huge plus. I mean, you saw where in Dayton, there's a bunch of infield singles there, man. And it was like, you're hitting balls off the end of the bat, but if it's in that grass, I got a chance, I think. So it definitely puts pressure on them. And then this past series against Dayton, they held me pretty good on the base path. But they're still thinking about me, and I feel like we got a lot of guys on the team, that we get on base, and it's like we're definitely a threat to steal. So, and with that 3-pick rule and everything, it just puts all kinds of pressure, unwanted pressure on the pitcher. So it's definitely good. In the outfield, we cover a lot of room too. That's the obvious plus to that. But in left field, we've had Rozier out there, Corey. He's been doing really good, and Mears is obviously has blazing speed as well. So it's like you really got 3 center fielders out there. So with the speed, you could definitely cover a bunch of ground.
Yeah,
and take off pressure on the infielders out there. So
I got a couple more for you. One of them has to do with the team, because you're on one of the more talented rosters at the high A level, right? You look at San Francisco's high A roster, and then you look at San Diego's high A roster in Fort Wayne right now. And, you're there, and you mentioned Mears and Rozier in the outfield, Valenzuela behind the plate, Gasser on the hill. Like, we're seeing what Mackenzie Gore is doing up now, and we're seeing what CJ can do, and we just got a taste of Camposano. How bright is the Padres' future?
Yeah. I think like it's super exciting, because I mean, we were talking, a couple of us guys were talking in the clubhouse, one of the first days we're in Fort Wayne, and it's like, dude, it's like, this is the high A team, it's like, this is pretty incredible. It's like pitching from coaching staff really to, even to the players. So it's like, all the way from top to bottom, it's like, wow, this is crazy. And what a setup. But it's like, I've been trying to keep up with the guys in Double A. It's like the outfielders in Double A. You see them; they're doing really well right now. Obviously, we got some really, really strong guys in Triple A, and then the big league squad with, the 3 rookies right now. And, well, you got Steven Wilson too, so it's like Gore, Wilson, Camposano's been up and down, and then you got a couple of the other men. So low A's, they're blowing it up down there in Lake Elsinore over there. So really bright future, man. Really, really bright future. And you see, I mean, some of the guys that trades happen and stuff, but you see guys that believe the Padres and stuff, just because we are so stacked, you see them shooting through other systems too. Yep. So it's a huge credit to what I feel like what the Padres have over here with coaches and on to the players spreading information within each other and stuff like that, man. It's great.
100%. So how much does that have a bearing? I mean, and I know it's a lot, but I'd love to just hear you kind of color in on that, because you hear about organization to organization, player development, and all of those things. A lot of players, it comes to with just what's within, and being able to get that work in on your own, but also just the information available, the coaching, and all of those things. That's something that it sounds like is something that you feel like separates the Padres in a lot of ways. And how much of a difference does that make for a player like yourself? Obviously, you have all the talent in the world, and I can tell you're a smart ball player, but having those coaches that you trust, how much does that make a difference for you?
Yeah, I mean, because they know they're in their spot for a reason. They have the information, they have the knowledge. So for me, right when I came in, 18 years old, and immediately with the COVID year, like we talked about, being weird and me being exposed to the alternate site and those big league players and those AAA guys, and being behind, really being out of high school, I had to lean on some coaches, and I had to ask questions and or keep my mouth shut and just listen to what people had to say and watch. So yeah, it's been huge for me, and I think I definitely have to credit a lot of coaches. Pretty much every coach I've had with the Padres for at least some part of my development, because you learn something new every day, as the saying, but you really do. I mean, when you're on the baseball field, if you sit back and watch and take in information, just sit there and listen, you'll learn something. So
last one from me. I spent last year in Fort Wayne. I know you got a good crew in John Nolan and Ben Schulman. I gave Ben this recommendation, but I want to hear, before I give you the rec, your parents are coming to town. You've got a day game. Where are you going for dinner that night?
I don't even know. To be honest, in Fort Wayne?
Yeah, in Fort Wayne.
I don't even know, man, to be honest. Jared, I'm rooming with Jared Dale. We have a little apartment together, and he's been cooking a lot, man. So we haven't, unless it's like a little fast food or something, I haven't even. If you got some recommendations, please. We've had that Proximo place a few times for breakfast and lunch. It's super, super good.
Yeah, Proximo's great for brunch, man.
Proximo's really good, and then there's a pizza place, little pizza place or something we've ate at. But other than that, haven't really explored too much. So want to soon. I just got my car, so.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay, so you're buying because you're the top 10 pick, right? So if you're buying, this place is not Proximo price. Mercado on the landing, that landing strip.
Oh yeah,
the Mexican restaurant there, Mercado.
Okay,
the best restaurant in Fort Wayne, hands down. Promise.
Is that the place with the street tacos or no?
So they roll out the food truck, but that's their actual restaurant. They've got great stuff. Chips and guac to start, and then they got great entrees too.
Okay, sweet, man. I'll keep that in mind.
This guy's got the whole lay of the land over here.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm an Indiana man.
The landing's pretty nice over there, yeah.
Yeah, really. I love it. Hey, Robert, this was awesome, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, man, really appreciate the time, and best of luck the rest of the season. Really amped to follow along.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.